Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
Well, I didn't play today, but you know, those good pass rushers that we talk about all the time, we knew that we were going to have to stop really, really fast. So when it was third down and we called dime rabbits, those big guys come barreling off the sidelines. Well, Jonathan Allen barreled right into me one time. And the athlete that I am, I was able to keep my feet, but I really couldn't do anything about this. But, you know, the players were really concerned, but they know they don't make them like they used to.
He was really proud that he took that hit and stayed on his feet. And he is a good athlete.
Yeah.
You watch him throwing that football around at practice, he can still sling it.
That's right.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Tider Insider TV. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris. Our program presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock. Been with us a long time, and you know, I love Pepsi, and you know, I like the Pepsi Max, Diet Pepsi, Wild Cherry, but every now and then, after a long day, I just got to go full-blown leaded Pepsi, get a little sugar.
That's why you're wearing that blue today.
Perfect
Perfect match.
Man, I tell you what, look at that. Hey, I'm coordinated with a Pepsi can. Can't beat that. I'm gonna have another swig. That is good. Remember to pick up some Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store, and our thanks to Buffalo Rock for being with us. So, Rodney, before we get into the Charleston Southern preview, because I know you really like the Buccaneers' chances in this one, let's go ahead and recap what we saw last Saturday in Starkville against what was then 20th ranked Mississippi State. Alabama knew this was going to be a tough game coming off the LSU win. And in the first half, Dak Prescott and company made some plays, but at the end of the day, Alabama gets 9 sacks. They tormented Prescott, gave up some yards. State ran 87 plays. Alabama had the ball about half as many plays, but made the most of it. Big plays on offense, big plays on defense, big plays in the special team. It's a 31-6 win for the Tide.
Yeah, and you know, to be honest with you, we really felt like it was going to be a much more difficult game, even though I don't think Alabama played extremely well. Obviously, on offense, they struggled some, especially in the first half. They got the big plays. There you see Cyrus Jones kind of getting things going with this punt return, gave Alabama a 7-0 lead, Gary. And then later, when Calvin Ridley scored, I think the dam just broke for Mississippi State because they thought, you know, they had moved the ball some effectively on Alabama's defense, but they couldn't punch it in. Yeah, that was an unbelievable move. But, you know, I think it was extremely frustrating for Mississippi State when they had their opportunities early and couldn't punch them in.
You know, Rod, Coach Saban said something after the game, though. It really made a lot of sense. He said, you know, he didn't say it trying to be arrogant. He just said they knew Mississippi State could not run the ball against them. Basically, Prescott was the running game. So even though they gave up some plays in the passing game, when they got in the red zone, that field shrinks. Yeah. And it was hard to throw the ball down there. Mississippi State couldn't run it in. So despite moving the ball well, 2 field goals, no touchdowns for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and I think Mississippi State, again, did move the ball well. I give them credit for that. Dak Prescott did a fine job. He was under a lot of pressure. But the Alabama defensive front stole the show. Let's be honest. You know, when you talk about that side of the ball, and Derrick Henry on the other side, 204 yards, 22 carries, Gary, staked his claim again for the Heisman.
Yeah, there's no doubt at this point. If Alabama can finish it off, because I do think it's important what your team does as well, but if they finish it off against Charleston Southern, beat Auburn, get into the SEC championship game, and beat Florida, and Henry plays well, I think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, I think he needs to have really, you know, good games against Auburn and in the SEC championship game if they're fortunate enough to beat Auburn. And if he does, then I think it's his.
All right, Alabama gets the next win. And like Saban said, that goes to go 1-0 every week from here on out. Bama wins at 31-6. Well, this coming weekend, it's going to be the final home game for the senior class. That's right. They will lace it up and play at Bryant-Denny Stadium for the last time. And as Tider Insider TV's Jen Chapman tells us, it's time for reflection for both the coaching staff and this great senior class.
Bittersweet, that's my last game coming up. But I've had some great times here, and I've grown a lot as a player and as a person, so I'm always going to remember it and just cherish the kind of relationships that I've built here over the past 4 years.
It's not just the players getting sentimental about their senior day. Coach Nick Saban also reflective this week.
I gave a little speech about time on my radio show the other day, but you know, you can't buy it, you can't stop it, you can't bottle it. You just got to do the best you can with it, I guess, and try to make every day count. But I look at some of the guys that are seniors on our team, And I'm saying, man, I just went in that guy's house, seems like 2 weeks ago. It goes by fast for me, too.
Since 2008, Alabama has the most wins of any FCS program. This senior class has been a part of 2 SEC championships and 1 national title.
The expectation has always been greater for them, and they haven't always been able to finish like we wanted to, but they've shown a lot of resilience and leadership this year to, have a chance to create an opportunity for themselves to be able to maybe finish this year.
The seniors with unfinished business and the legacy they want to leave behind.
Hopefully as national champions. That's pretty much it. And it was great to be a part of this year so far. And like you said, we got a long way to go, a lot more games to play. So
Leave a dominant, sort of physical, tough team that nobody really wants to play, and I think we're still working to do that every week.
Jen Chapman for Tighter Insider.
Well, Rodney, you can track it. 2012 is true freshmen. The redshirted seniors won a national championship during the program in 2011. But the true freshmen that came in 2012, SEC and BCS national championship. 2013 ranked #1 a lot of the year, lost in the kick 6 game at the end of the year. Last season SEC title, played in the Bowl Championship Series playoffs, and this year on pace to win the SEC if they can keep winning and playing the Bowl Championship Series playoff again. That's pretty good senior class right there.
Yeah, outstanding. They were very highly recruited, a lot of them. I remember the other day, like it was the other day, when Cyrus Jones in the Under Armour All-American game had the interception. I mean, it's almost it's almost unbelievable to think that 4 years have already passed and all those guys.
Time flies, and it flies even faster when you're winning. Well, still to come tonight on Tighter Insider Television, running back Kenyan Drake has a case of bad luck when it comes to playing in the state of Mississippi. Another injury, this time against the Bulldogs, last year against Ole Miss. We'll find out how long he's expected to be out. And also coming up, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882 is the number. You can email us, TITV at WVUA23.com, or you can reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. The award-winning Tighter Insider TV will return after this timeout. Well, if it weren't for bad luck, Kenyan Drake would have no luck in the state of Mississippi. Great play on the kickoff there. First one down, making the tackle, but fractured his arm, that right arm right there. And he is going to miss some time, underwent surgery. You see him reach out and get it there. Now, will he come back this season? Coach Saban seems to think there's a chance, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that recovery. But, man, what a big loss. Not just as a running back, but as you see, one of the best special team players on the team as well. Well, it's time now for our Coach Speak segment, brought to you every week by Med Center. Here now, Alabama's Nick Saban and Jamie Chadwell, who knows his Charleston Southern team could be in for a rough time of it in Tuscaloosa.
Their quarterback, Austin Brown, does a really good job. He's a very athletic guy that can run as well as is a good passer. So this is going to be a challenging game for us from a preparation standpoint. Their defense has created a lot of negative plays, very quick. They play a 3-4, and they do a good job with their pressure package to create negative plays. So, this is a good team that we're playing, and hopefully our players will have the kind of respect they need to go out and play, good, positive, winning football against them.
Well, hopefully we can try to get healthy. Hopefully we'll go have a good showing down there in Tuscaloosa. And we're going to go play to win. And then as soon as we figure out when that game is not able to win, then we're going to be smart because, this is a situation being in the playoffs. Hopefully we've done enough to get a bye. That's what our goal is, to get a home seed and get a bye. But now that you're in the dance, you want to go win the whole thing. And fortunately, our staff has been in the D2 playoffs before, so we have an understanding how it works. And hopefully our guys will get, once we get through next week, get a plan going and sort of start over. Now you got an even bigger goal.
I like the way Coach puts that. This is a big opportunity for them. They're going to get a nice payday, play one of the best teams in the country, but their main purpose is getting into those FCS playoffs. They're going to do that. They're 9-1. They won the Big South Conference, 6-0 in their league. Their only loss was to FBS Troy here in the state of Alabama. But he knows that more than likely this one could get out of hand. Having said that, Rodney, we've seen before when top-tier FCS teams play, they're capable of doing some things. Jacksonville State was a 40-point underdog, should have beaten Auburn a few years ago. Appalachian State beat Michigan. So we're going to take a look at this Charleston Southern team right now. The Buccaneers, they run some option on offense, and you know, Alabama still has to show up and play. You can't just roll the ball up there and expect to win.
Absolutely. You know, Gary, remember a few years ago when Georgia Southern came to town, 2011, against that great Alabama defense, they rushed for over 300 yards. And again, you've got to take them seriously. Alabama couldn't put that Georgia Southern team away till late and had to keep some of its starters in the game. So certainly, as you said, Gary, you want to take this game, show all the respect that's due a team like Charleston Southern.
In fact, that Georgia Southern team, Rodney, rushed for more yards against Alabama than any team that year against that great rushing defense. So, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, though, it is a special day for the seniors. I love the way Alabama recognizes each and every one and their families prior to the game. Coach Saban goes down the entire row, and that's always a nice moment.
Yeah, it is. And again, you have a lot of guys that have had a lot of solid contribution, significant contribution to the program, Gary, not only, you know, on the field but off the field. And, you know, you have a lot of guys that have walked on, too, that get recognized with their families. So that's always a great thing to see.
And what a thrill for the Buccaneers. Like we said, to roll into Bryant-Denny Stadium against a team that's won 3 national championships since 2009. And, you know, if they could play well, it'd be a big confidence boost for them going into the playoffs.
You look at these guys, they're competitors. They want to see how they kind of measure up to Alabama. Certainly they understand the challenge, but, you know, giving them an opportunity to play against these guys that, you know, in a program such as Alabama, it's been the dominant program in college football for 7 or 8 years. It's something that they really look forward to. Now, the question is, as you mentioned, they're looking forward to the playoffs, too. People talk about Alabama not playing starters the whole time. You know, you almost wonder, how do they approach this game in terms of keeping themselves healthy and in position as they approach the playoffs?
Well, later on, our predictions, I'm telling you, I think Rodney may think this one's going to be close.
Yeah, could be nip and tuck.
Have to stay tuned for that. Well, coming up next, we're going to welcome your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, there's the information on the screen on how you can get in touch with us. So go ahead and dial in now. And we'll take some phone calls when we come back to the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the award-winning Tider Insider TV. The Alabama men's basketball team went into the University of Dayton Arena to play the Flyers today as a 9.5-point underdog. There was a reason Alabama was a 9.5-point dog. Dayton has now won 24 consecutive home games after being tied 18-18 with about 8 minutes to go. This one got ugly. Alabama blown away 80-48. The 32-point loss is the Tide's biggest setback since a 34-point loss to Ole Miss back in 2001. That's 14 years. Yes, Avery Johnson's enthusiastic. Yes, he has a lot of energy and excitement, but it's going to take some time, folks. This team picked to finish 13th in the SEC out of 14 teams. There's a reason for that. They were under 500 last year in the league. And Rodney, real quickly, you know, he wants to run, but to run, you've got to get rebounds. You've got to take care of the ball. They turned it over 20 times, 48 points. That's not anywhere close to the amount that he wants to score. But you know what? It is what it is. Dayton's an established program. I would argue if the Dayton was in the SEC, they'd probably be among the top 4 teams in the conference. And, you know, they just ran into a buzzsaw today. They played a better team.
Yeah, and it's the second game in the program.
Yep.
And, I mean, he needs his players. He's got to have an opportunity to bring his style of players in to play his style and brand of basketball. And I think when we have that, when we see that, I think certainly you'll start seeing the kind of results that everyone expects.
And it's a tough pre-conference schedule, too. Wow, Alabama's got some tough teams to play. There's going to be some more losses, folks, but I do think that long-term A.J. is going to get the players in here. All right, let's go to the phone lines, and let's talk with Bill over in Birmingham. Welcome, Bill. How are you?
Hey, good evening, guys. Roll Tide.
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us about some of the incoming recruits that we have on the offensive, defensive line. Do we have anybody that, you know, maybe like in the top 5 or 10 that we may be getting? How does it look, guys?
All right, Bill. Well, we're not going to go into specific recruits in terms of who's committed, but I will tell you this: there's a reason Alabama has been as strong as it has been under Nick Saban, and that has been offensive line and defensive line recruits. So, Rodney, the key is here they're headed to another really good class on both sides.
And
of the
I know
ball.
you've mentioned some of them in your newscast. Certainly, Alabama has 2 of the top offensive tackles in the country committed. One a junior college player, Charles Baldwin, out of New York, and Jonah Williams out of California. They have 2 outstanding guard prospects. prospects committed. They're recruiting more. They're going to recruit a lot of defensive linemen. That's certainly a need position. I think most of those defensive linemen, Gary, are obviously still to come. They have one commitment, but they're going to get several more top-notch players.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Let's go to Sterrett and talk with Joshua. Hey, Joshua, how are you?
Doing fine, sir. How are you?
Very well. What you got for us tonight?
Man, I was wondering how many yards Derrick Henry had in all, and what do you think his chances are on winning the Heisman?
All right, Rodney's got his totals. He's close to 1,500 yards. I'll answer the Heisman part. As I said earlier, if Alabama finishes the season out, wins the next 3 games, including the SEC Championship, and he plays well, I think he'll win the Heisman. You've got his totals, and they're eye-popping.
Yeah, 1,458 yards, 19 touchdowns. And, you know, Gary, it's not out of the realm of possibility he could finish 2,000 yards if he really finishes, you know, strong. So what a season. He certainly looks like he's on pace to break Trent Richardson's school record, which is, what, 1678, I think. So what a year.
Looking good. All right, when we come back, more phone calls and emails. There again is the information on the screen. So call in now. We'll take some more phone calls. We'll answer some emails when we come back to TITV. Well, I guess there's a reason rival fans refer to it as the Crimson Broadcasting System. Alabama's on CBS a lot, and that'll be the case again for the Iron Bowl a week from Saturday at Jordan-Hare, 2:30 on CBS, Alabama versus Auburn. Rodney, let's get right back to the phones. Micah is with us over in East Alabama in Lineville. Hey, Micah, how are you?
I'm great. How are y'all? Y'all doing a good job.
Thank you, sir. What you got for us tonight?
I just wondered the Minka Fitzpatrick. How's he doing?
Yeah, Mike, I think Minka may not, you know, possibly play this week, but I think Gary, by Auburn week, he'll certainly be minted up, probably ready to go again. It's a day-to-day thing, Micah, according to Coach Saban, so we'll just have to see how it all kind of materializes, but looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I think.
The impression I get. I think he'll be ready to go.
Not lengthy anyway.
For Auburn. Thanks for the phone call from Lineville. Let's go to Saginaw and talk to William. Hey, William, how are you?
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you again.
Good.
Hey, I just want to ask you about our defense as far as comparing it to past defenses. It seems like our defensive unit right now is just playing at a level that's comparable to any team that I can remember, the great teams, the great defenses from the past. Could y'all just comment on a little bit on that? Just
William, we can. And I'll say this. There have been some great defenses just since I've been alive at Alabama, man. I mean, some special defenses. I do think, Rodney, when you take into consideration how the game is played today, so many snaps teams run, the spreads, the points that are scored, when you put it in context, I think this defense compares favorably with just about any that we've seen. The one bad game they had statistically against Ole Miss, 43 points, a lot of those came off turnovers. One of them came on a ball that they made a great defensive play. It hit off a guy's helmet, and another one on a play that should have been a penalty called. So, they've been really good.
Yeah, they really pressure the quarterback. I like that. I like the way the secondary's improved since the beginning of the year. We talked about, before the season started, I thought that might be the most improved unit in terms of a group on this particular team, and I think they certainly have done that. I think this defense, Gary, would rank right there with any defense Alabama's had right now. But again, they have a little bit more to go in terms of finishing the season out.
All right, we're going to take an email, Rodney, and this email comes to us from Lorene. Why do you think Saban hasn't recruited black quarterback like other colleges have? Well, Lorene, I got to correct you. He has recruited black quarterbacks. He signed Star Jackson, Phillip Sims. He signed Blake Sims as an athlete who wound up being the starting quarterback last year. The quarterback that's committed for the next signing class, Jalen Hurts, is an African-American. So I don't know why you would think that. I hope you don't remember those guys because I want to correct you there. Alabama has signed African-American quarterbacks. And there's been some
others that they've recruited that have chosen to go elsewhere, Gary. Some are starting at other schools. Deshaun Kaiser starting at Notre Dame right now. So, they've certainly recruited several others that chose to go elsewhere.
And the quarterback last year that led Alabama to the SEC Championship and the Bowl Championship playoff was an African-American. So, and he's going to recruit the best players, Lorene, regardless of color. I don't think that has anything to do with it at any position. All right, still to come here on Tider Insider TV. We're going to have our picks for the Charleston Southern game. Tell you what, keep an eye on Rodney. I mean, I really think he's considering pulling the upset here. That will be coming up next when we return to the program. You're watching the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. It's windy out there. Looks like some rain's on the way. We'll be back to Tuscaloosa right after this. Well, Rodney, I know you're like me. When you're wearing one of your dress shirts with the original Elephant Wear logo there from the locker room, people ask you all the time, man, Where can I get me one? How can I get me one? Well, the answer is the locker room located on the University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa tradition since 1964. Now, there are imitations, but the home of the original elephant wear is the locker room. And as you know, Rodney, you and I both love going over there, not just for the outstanding clothing, but the service that Alex, Rush, and the crew give you. You can go in there, relax, and they're going to take great care of you.
Oh, no question about it, Gary. Did you talk about their suits?
Suits are outstanding.
Unbelievable. Shoes,
and
T-shirts.
And they will tailor to fit. And they will take their time to get it right. And you can also shop online, as you see, at locker-room.biz. The next time you're in Tuscaloosa, go by and see the folks at the locker room, or just log on to the internet and get you some original elephant wear. Also, ladies wear as well. All right, Rodney, I know next week everybody's going to be tuning in with great interest to see what we think about the Iron Bowl. But before that game, the next game is Charleston Southern. And how do you see this one playing out?
Well, you know, Gary, if Alabama's fortunate enough to get a lead like maybe they didn't do a couple of years ago against Georgia Southern, I think it'll be interesting to see how many of the younger players like a Bo Scarborough, maybe a Damian Harris, how many opportunities they get, because I think when you look at those two guys, you never really know what their opportunities might be as the season progresses against a team like Auburn, or maybe in the SEC championship game, or if Alabama's fortunate enough to make the playoffs. So I think this game can certainly give some guys some experience. I'm predicting Alabama 44-0.
Well, I'm right along the same lines. I think that they would love the coaching staff to get Derrick Henry maybe 12 to 15 carries and get him out of there. Damian Harris and Bo Scarborough could get double-digit carries. If things go the way I think they will, Alabama will have a big lead. I don't think the goose egg. I think with a lot of young players on defense getting an opportunity to play, I think the Buccaneers score, but I like it 48-10. I like Bama big, and then you turn your attention to get ready for Auburn. Well, reminder, if you missed any of tonight's show, you can catch a replay at 10:30 following the news at 10. Also, it'll be available on our website, WVUA23.com. That's going to do it for TITV for this week. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great night.